you think you said psychotic, and she's not really psychotic.
Without her medications, she's off the wall.
Jokes about jealous rage aren't all Amanda has been posting on her Facebook. She has also posted some disturbing memes on her feed. One of them says, "It's only murder if they find your body. Otherwise, you're just a missing person." The information about Amanda's violent nature is intriguing, but right now the detectives are more interested in the story Amanda has told them about Saturday night, especially about going to see the girl on the train.
How'd the movie end?
Weird.
Just weird.
It was like kind of a plot twist. It was all like a mystery about like a murder.
Mm-hmm. Who did the murder?
Oh, I wasn't paying attention.
You weren't paying attention.
It was a boring movie.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's extremely weird to me that you go to a movie and you have no idea what happened in that movie. Why even go to the movie then?
So you're not at the house?
I've got a guy going out to the theater to get the video from last Saturday night. Right now, he's on his way out there. The movie started at 10:10, and you were a little late, you said, right? So you got there after the previews. So I'll say around 10:30 probably. That be a safe guess?
Yeah, previews are like 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay. So they're definitely going to find you on that video, right?
But if Amanda sounds less than confident, perhaps there's a good reason. Investigators have already looked at the theater surveillance footage, and there's no hint of Amanda or Sebastian in the video.
Mainly the thing that I have an issue with right now is Saturday at the movies. Because we could find no evidence of you guys being at the movies. And we pretty well already knew that before we even got down that road.
He have an ad starting in about a minute.
Why would you tell me that you were at the movies when you weren't at the movies?
We were at the movies.
At the late movie, which started at 10:10, of Girl on the Train.
Mm-hmm.
And nowhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Then why, I mean, are you guys like invisible or something? Or, I mean,
Why won't you be on the video?
you're not there.
I don't know.
I would suggest it's because you weren't there. And I would suggest you were somewhere else and you don't want to tell me about that.
We were at the movies.
Amanda clings to her story in the face of solid evidence, and her boyfriend does the same.
I do have you on video going to an intersection. I don't have her. I have the passenger side of the vehicle, and it's clearly you that stopped at an intersection. And so I assume she's driving. So you can't help me with where you might have been going or what you might have been doing.
Never didn't really do anything specific about that.
The detectives also confront Amanda with evidence that pokes fatal holes in her story.
Are you scared right now?
Visit Raven734's KO5 page at https://ko-fi.com/Raven734 ?
Never at Jeremy's apartment that night. We know where you were at.
And where was
We
it?
have your cell phone to back that up. We have messages from you to back that up. We have
the car.
evidence.
We're at
your
your house.
car. We're at your house.
We've got Sebastian.
We've got Sebastian.
And how do you have Sebastian?
Just as the detectives reach the end of their rope with Amanda's crumbling alibi, they also reach a point with Sebastian where it's time to lay the cards on the table. Surprisingly, Sebastian helps them do so.
I mean, you're in here, you're in jail, you've been arrested, your girlfriend's been arrested, kid's been given to your mother, quasi-mother-in-law. You're pretty calm. I mean, what do you think this is about?
I have
You have
an
an
assumption.
Okay, what is that assumption?
I know something happened at Crow Park around that time.
How do you know that?
Well, I've seen it all over the news and on my Facebook.
What happened there?
Apparently somebody got killed.
Who's somebody?
I don't know her name.
Though Sebastian attempts to make it sound as though he only knows of this murder through the media, it immediately becomes clear that he's a little closer to the situation than that.
You don't know.
I did meet her because she went to the hospital when my son was born. And
So she must tell you.
she knows me, but I didn't know her. I didn't even know her name.
Because she shows up. I mean, I gotta be honest, I've had 2 kids. The only people who showed up at the hospital were friends.
It was Amanda knew her. I didn't.
So she showed up because of Amanda.
Yeah.
So her and Amanda were friends.
Yeah.
How's Amanda feel about this? About her friend being dead.
She hasn't really shown a whole lot of emotion about it.
The detectives, who've already been told of Amanda's violent, possessive side, explore whether Sebastian's interactions with Caitlin may have triggered her jealousy.
Have you ever dated her before?
No. I didn't even know her name.
She ever flirted with you before?
Like at the hospital that day your baby was
In
born?
the hospital, she tried to talk. She kept complimenting my appearance and kept saying that even though it looked like I haven't slept in a while, a few days I still look good. Amanda seemed kind of pretty mad about that.
Well, that was in front of Amanda.
Yeah.
You know, this is not our first rodeo. We've had a teen.
There's 7 homicides in St. Joe within the past year.
Yeah.
At least that you found a body for.
Right.
It's probably more, but
Is there? Well, who said anything about a homicide?
Google.
But I mean, we didn't say anything about a homicide. Who says this is a homicide we're talking about? Is there something we need to know about a homicide?
Well, you're investigating the homicide.
We're investigating hundreds of crimes.
You're investigating a homicide.
We're investigating hundreds of crimes.
Well, that's the only one in the news, so I'm assuming.
With the suspects already aware of why they're likely here, the cops let the cat out of the bag.
Do a few questions. But
I think you know the answers to the question. You go ahead and ask them. I'll help you out.
it was just when I was arrested at the parade. Why that was even really necessary for so many officers to come back.
Well, I think you have to look at the thought of this. If that's what you think we're talking about, we're talking about the officers thought that you possibly killed somebody. That's pretty serious. My book, all right?
I understand that. So
That's, I would say you're right on track, honestly.
But if the detectives are laying aside their pretenses with Sebastian, they're going even more forcefully to the evidence with Amanda, particularly the evidence that connects her to Caitlin.
Friends with her on Facebook, your messenger.
After that night, don't tell anybody.
Yep, where are you going?
Don't tell anybody where you're going, who you're going with.
We can just do it over at my house. We do it in the LA all the time.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about the messages that you sent her, Caitlin. Let's quit calling her her. She deserves a name, regardless of what she was or what she did. Her name is Caitlin Ruth. And you sent her messages to come and be with you guys and not to tell anybody who she was going with.
She was such a good friend. She came to the hospital the day that your son was born.
And she talked about how it wasn't my baby.
What do you mean?
Like it wasn't Sebastian's baby.
So
But
it was your baby,
that's
but not
okay.
Sebastian's baby.
So it pissed her. So she's out there saying, "Hey,
She's saying you're.
yeah, she's calling you." Yeah,
What else is it? If she says it's not Sebastian's baby,
yeah.
she's telling you that you run around, which is really what she does,
Yeah.
isn't it?
That doesn't bother me.
As hard as they try to get a reaction out of Amanda, however, she remains seemingly indifferent. Sebastian, however, tells them that she had a much different response at the time.
She couldn't wait for her to leave, and that she was just gonna keep her cool about it. She might have to fight somebody after she had a baby.
Back with Amanda, the detectives are learning a lot about their teenage suspect, and none of it is good.
You don't physically scare me, but it's just spooky that you just have no emotion about it. No emotion. I've been doing this for 31 years. I have never, ever sat across from someone and talked to them about a crime like this, even if they're not involved, and had them sit here with this much lack of emotion. And not to mention the fact that I'm telling you, you did it, and you have no emotion except for giggling once in a while. That is spooky.
As these interviews proceed, crime scene analysts are collecting evidence at the couple's home. They come across several bizarre items that hint at the chilling truth of what happened to Caitlin. It's these items that detectives have in mind as they question Sebastian about Amanda's religious beliefs.
She's kind of come looked into some other stuff too, some darker stuff, hasn't she?
A little bit.
Yeah. How do you feel about that?
I don't mind it as long as she doesn't go like too far with it.
Right. What would be too far? What would be too far?
Really depending on what the exact
Like all gothing out.
yeah.
That's not her hairstyle, but I like it.
It can affect her actions or her appearance or like that, you know, influencing her to do anything.
Do you
Our
believe in,
universe, it could
do you
be as
believe in
small as a
Satan?
speck on
Do you
a
believe in
ballpoint
Satan?
pen.
Do you worship Satan? Huh? You,
I could go to that.
he said he'd be right
Yeah,
back. I
I'm
texted him.
gonna
He said he'd
redo
be right
that.
back.
The pen's too
Said
thick.
she'd
You have deodorant.
No. So,
It's gonna get smelly.
do you
up
have
in
any,
here.
when you worship Satan, what do you do?
I didn't say I worship Satan.
I'm saying you probably do. I'm guessing you do.
Why do you think that?
I just do, but you, well, might be because of the stuff that's in your background. But when
What
you
do you
say,
mean it's in
when I
my
just ask you and you say, I don't know, maybe I do, that's kind of a clue.
Maybe I
So-
do, maybe I don't. Maybe I believe in God, maybe I don't. Maybe I believe that that chair is the Messiah, maybe I don't.
You see one thing consistent about our interview? That whenever I back you into a corner about something you're uncomfortable about or about the truth, that you find something else to talk about. You think you're smarter than anybody else, I think.
No, I
is
probably
what it
sound
is.
like
No, you sound like a person who is scrambling to do anything to avoid the truth.
Detective Till's assessment isn't based solely on their latest exchange. Throughout the interview, Amanda has diverted the conversation into a number
There
of
we go.
blind alleys, many of them quite silly.
Well, I can't
happy birthday.
guarantee anything at this point. So,
I mean, I could get a cupcake or something.
when you do smoke weed, where do you get it from? Do you get it from here? Who do you get your weed from?
He's a hamster.
He's a hamster.
Okay.
They should let you have pets in jail. But then that'd be a bad idea, though, because then they would probably die.
And it's not long before Amanda tosses out her most outrageous suggestion yet.
There's only two people that were there, you and Sebastian. So you're telling me he did it all?
He didn't do anything.
And who did then?
Bear?
You know what I'm beginning to think? What I'm beginning to think is you are a very cold, hard person.
Do I get to go back there?
In a minute.
Should go back into dispatch. Hey, I'm beginning to think you're a very cold, hard person. That you can sit here and have no emotion and make funnies about all this stuff to say maybe she was killed by a bear.
I don't know what she was
Oh, you know
killed by.
exactly what she was killed by.
With this statement, the interrogation takes a turn, and the detectives run out of patience.
Less than a week ago, you killed somebody. And you don't care. You probably went home and had a great time. Oh, wasn't that fun? Wasn't that great? I can't wait to do it again. Maybe we should do it to Siler. Yeah, maybe we should do it to Siler. What we did to her, maybe we should do that to Siler.
You're sick.
You're sick. I've never killed anyone.
Neither have I.
You're a liar. You're evil, 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 soulless, heartless people
Tell her.
who like to kill and
Tell
get
her.
off on it.
Dig into her.
You probably rubbed her blood all over your
Bring
body and probably, I don't know, probably had some weird...
Danced in a circle,
Yeah,
shouting.
you did?
Is that what you think?
Yeah, that's what I think. Because you don't... So what happened then?
happen. I hope that didn't happen.
You danced around in her blood and probably went, yay me, look at me. Here's to you, Satan. Here's to you, my first sacrifice. Or is it my first sacrifice to you? You know what? This one doesn't work. How about a baby? Let's sacrifice our baby.
Baby souls are worthless.
So, a teenage soul's worth more than a baby soul? A horse? Somebody, a bad girl soul is worth more than a pure, innocent baby? Really? So was her soul worthless?
I don't know.
You told me a baby soul is worthless, so when does a soul become worthful? You yourself look it up. I'm not looking it up. You've looked it up. So when is a soul worth something?
I didn't look anything up.
Well, then how you know a baby soul is worthless?
Amanda's remark hints at something lurking beneath her typical teenage facade, but we will soon see that it merely scratches the surface of her chilling beliefs. On this day, however, Detective Ogdell has heard enough.
How we doing?
She's a liar. Two things I know about this. I'll let you talk to her for a moment about what you're going to talk to her about, but two things I know for sure, Josh. Okay? You know, of course, her son's name is Siler, who she doesn't care about.
Okay.
Boyfriend's name is Sebastian. There's two things I know about her. She is a killer, and she's a liar.
Well, okay.
The new detective may seem like a friendly
The new detective's like,
alternative at first,
well,
but
okay.
Once he introduces himself as a computer forensics investigator,
He's like, I got my work cut
Amanda
out for
seems
me.
to understand that he's not come to deliver any good news.
And so let me tell you what happens with a cell phone and today's smartphones is that they automatically connect to Wi-Fi locations. And so what happens with a smartphone is that it stores that location that it tried to connect to. And so when I look at your phone and when I looked at Sebastian's phone and when I looked at Caitlin's phone, what do you think that those phones had in common?
Her location.
You're right.
The detective lets her know as plainly as possible that the phone data leaves no room for her to be innocent.
The question is not whether you did it. It's
Why?
For what purpose? And that's a question, an answer that only you can provide. Was it sport? Was it fun? Was it just to do something? Or was it more than that? Was it this bond that you and Sebastian now share? What was it?
I don't know answers for that. I need to talk to a lawyer.
It's probably a good idea. Good luck to you.
Sebastian also withers under scrutiny and asks for a lawyer. But while this seems to mark the end of their cooperation, these suspects have only just begun to reveal the depths of their madness. Almost as a preview, Sebastian ends the first interview with a single, highly suspicious remark.
We need to understand why this happened. What happened? What did this girl do? Did she come on to you? Did she assault Amanda? What happened that got to this?
Not quite. You know, the reasoning behind why. It was,
Yeah, I
Her
like it with that
specific,
one
like,
loop hair.
you can have some,
Right there. Yeah, makes it a little more messy.
obviously a
looking.
lawyer, not for any reason for guilt, but I'd like to discuss, something with the lawyer.
That's absolutely your right to do that.
With Amanda having also exercised her right to counsel, the detectives exit, leaving her alone in the interrogation room with a cop whose only job for the time being appears to be babysitting her.
I mean, I just don't want to say anything that's going to put me away for life. That's why I'm not saying anything.
I respect that.
The cop puts Amanda at ease, perhaps more at ease than she realizes because their conversation will soon take a dark turn. That chilling part of their conversation is still to come, and its unbelievable revelations will shed an ominous new light on what happened to Caitlin Rue. As for Sebastian, they don't leave him in the room. They take him straight out for processing, And it says he's being fingerprinted that he asked Detective Till if he can speak with him alone back in the interrogation room. And as the hint at the end of his first interview suggests,
I don't quite know the reasoning behind why it was her specifically.
this time, his story has changed.
I know what happened, but I kind of like to explain. It's making me sound crazy.
Well, I understand that it happens, and I just want to hear your, what happened.
She knows this about me. That I'm not quite all there in the head. I am. Two different sides. Like I'm a sociopath. So it's like that's one reason I'm so calm. I'm emotional right now.
Sebastian begins the second interview with an intriguing bit of information about himself, one that almost seems designed specifically to limit his culpability in whatever happened that night.
At certain times, if I lose my temper or freak out, like this state of my consciousness, just kind of goes away for a bit. A different kind of consciousness comes up. It's me, and it's basically like the more violent, evil part of me.
What was that name? Drake? Does she know when Drake is talking to her? Does she address him by the name Drake?
Sometimes it's me because she's just calling by my name. He doesn't.
But she recognizes the two different people.
Yeah, it's very distinct.
He says that it's not him, but it's still part of him. Like, he says that it's a second person that was instead, and that second person has no real emotions, and that it's just evil.
I just wish I was able to make it where this was not an outcome. She has no remorse. She has no guilt about it. She's more excited.
Yeah, I agree. She had no remorse whatsoever. Giggled, said it multiple times, talking about it.
She's always been controlling. I have to ask if I can leave the house. I have to ask her anything if I want to do anything. I don't like being controlled like that. I'd never do something like this. I'd stop her before she did it. But the other half likes her a lot.
With the stage set for Sebastian to begin telling his story, Detective Till asks him how they came to be in Caitlin's company last Saturday night.
I don't have any actual recollection of what exactly happened, but it's kind of like a faded memory.
What do you remember of it?
I remember us being in the park, just walking, all three of us, and nowhere, heard loud, something smack, and she was on the ground, and then suddenly she didn't have any clothes on, and then we were getting up, she was all bloody on the ground. I don't remember the details between us.
Sebastian's not the only one coming back for a second sit-down. On Monday morning, 2 days after her initial interview, Amanda sends word that she'd like to speak with detectives once again. This time, she not only brings a different story, but an entirely different persona.
I was at work with my mom at Pizza Hut, and I was just messaging people to see if anyone wanted to hang out, because I never do. I messaged a girl named Haley Mooney, another girl named Haley, and a girl named Allie, and I messaged Caitlin. And I asked them,
Hang on, this might take a minute.
hi,
Like a hot
what are you
minute.
doing and stuff, and Caitlin talked to me. She just like talked, said hi, how are you? And I was like, I'm at work, bored. And I was like, do you have anything
Okay, so
to do?
that's already
She's
downloaded.
like, no, not really, I'm just sitting here. I was like, oh, you want to hang out or something? She said, yeah, that'd be cool.
Amanda insists that they only intended to hang out peacefully with Caitlin that evening, and she illustrates this with a story of what happened when they stopped at a convenience store near their house. It's during this story that she reveals something surprising about the picture police found on Caitlin's phone.
and then we were talking about the lights on the signs, like it was either the lottery sign or the open sign or something like that. So then I asked her if she had a phone, and she said she did. I asked if I could see it, and she handed it to me, and then I took a picture of the sign. I said, hey, when do you have a memory? And then we started talking about how they were doing new stuff at Crib Park, and she said that she hadn't seen it yet. I told her that I didn't see it either, and then Sebastian was like, well, you want to go check it out? And she's like, yeah.
Amanda tells them that they spent quite a while at the park walking around before finally resting at the top of a hill. And this is where her story takes a turn.
Then Sebastian sat down next to me, and he said, you're probably not going to believe me because it sounds crazy, but I'll explain what he's talking about later. If you remind me, I'll tell you. But he said that they wanted her for a sacrifice. They wanted her specifically, and that she fit the criteria, and that they wanted her. I told him that we were having fun with her, and that she was becoming my friend, and that I didn't want it to be her. She was bleeding, so Sebastian pulled me aside and handed me a stick and said, hit her, you need to hit her. And I told him I didn't want to, and he said, hit her now. So I hit her with a stick, and she said, ow, what was that for? So I know I didn't hit her very hard. And Sebastian ran past me and knocked her to the ground and started choking her.
How was he choking her?
She was laying right here, and he had a hold of her like that and was choking her.
At that point, Amanda tells them the violence escalated, and Sebastian took drastic measures.
And then she was trying to say, help me, please stop, I can't breathe. And he said,
Oh, they're images.
can you help me? And I just stood there.
Blast, I don't want to do that.
I didn't know what to do.
Where's the
And then
brush?
he took a syringe out of his pocket,
For what?
Feathers.
a syringe, like, for shots and stuff. And
Oh,
he
okay,
stabbed
so
her
there's
in the
image
neck
material.
with it.
Blast, I thought I had to set that
I
with
asked
the
him what that was,
peony
so he said
pictures.
it's supposed to make her go to
I thought it was a
sleep.
brush.
So she wouldn't feel anything. And then after a while she stopped moving, and then he said the clothes have to come off because they wouldn't accept it if she had clothes on. So then he cut her clothes off.
Amanda doesn't reveal quite yet what she means by they, but she's finally acknowledged at least being there during these moments of unrestrained brutality. Back with Sebastian, the detective asks him about the weapons they brought to the park.
What did that knife look like?
Knife.
That you would usually carry on your side? The Winchester? Like that kind of a rose-colored handle on it? Reddish wood?
Yeah, and hole in the bottom you keep like tied to rope or something.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the knife. It had bones all over it.
Sebastian's account of that evening may be conveniently sparse, but his recollection of the knives resonates with what police found at their house. Blood is detected on both knives, and the DNA profile matches with Caitlin Root.
And then he handed me a knife and said, stab her. I told him that I couldn't. He said, we have to do it now. Because we can't go back now, because if we do, then we're going to jail. So he took it back and he stabbed her in the chest.
Did both of you partake in stabbing her and cutting her, or just you, or just Amanda?
I was holding her.
Holding her down so Amanda could do what needed to be done? The injuries to her neck, how hard was that to inflict?
My knife are incredibly sharp.
Incredibly sharp.
While Sebastian continues to claim having trouble remembering what happened that night, his girlfriend is not.
He stabbed her like right here.
Still loading in that brush. Hang
And
on.
then
There we go.
I covered my eyes and ears and I turned around. I don't know what he did after that, but when I turned back around, she was standing up. I knew he had stabbed her though, but she was standing up and starting to get up and walk away. And he looked surprised, so I don't think it was supposed to happen. And then he like knocked her back down and jumped on top of her, like on top of her with his legs, and like he was choking her again. And he said loud enough that she was a fighter, so I don't think it was going how he wanted it to. He said that she was fighting, and then after a while he said that she didn't have pulse anymore.
Is it a possibility that you might have cut her or stabbed her and not remembered?
I guess there's a possibility.
It's not the only detail Amanda would like to forget about that evening.
And he was shining the light over her, and he told me to look at her. He said, "Look what we did to her." And I keep looking at her. I didn't want to know what happened to her. He showed me her phone. And he said, "We have to get rid of her phone, because if the police find it, then they'll see that I was talking to her, and they'll come and take me to jail for murder." So he took the SIM card out, and he broke it in half and put it somewhere, and then he stopped on the phone, and it wasn't breaking, so he like bent it until the light went out.
Sebastian didn't succeed in actually destroying Caitlin's SIM card, of course, and his take on Amanda's mood in the aftermath is quite different.
She's pretty giddy, excited. Normally when we go to bed, we just lay down and go to sleep. We don't have any interaction with each other. She wanted to, come on me, lay on me, kiss me, hug me, all that stuff she really does.
According to Amanda, however, Sebastian was occupied with more sinister matters, having brought home a souvenir from the crime scene.
He reached in the purse, and the first thing he pulled out was a bottle that was like this big, and it had blood in it. And he was looking at it, and he held it up to the light, and he